Hello and welcome to Bad Decisions Club presents Fallout for Hope. Yes, this is our very first attempt at running the modifius 2D20 Fallout TTRPG. I'm really excited. We've got a great group for you all. But before we jump into the game, I just want to go ahead and mention right at the top that we are running the stream for charity. There are several ways that you can donate. There is a button probably on a widget on your screen right now. There is a button underneath in the frames. There are also, as you can see, some commands that allow you to donate. And I want to talk a little bit about some of the donation rewards that you can get for our players. If you donate a certain amount of money, there are certain rewards that allow you to help the players by giving them action points or summoning the mysterious stranger in combat. If you feel like being a little bit less kind to our players, you can definitely go ahead and give me some action points, or you can summon some enemies. And every $100 that we make during this stream will be one extra perk for each of our players. Now, we're not going to go too deep into the mechanics of how the TTRPG works, but if you're familiar with Fallout, you'll be generally familiar with how this works. All the special stats are the same. The perks are basically the same. And just make sure that if you have the ability to do so and you have the inclination, please do go ahead and click that link, donate. It's a great cause. Alzheimer's affects a lot of people. And the more money that we can make for this, the better we can do for those folks. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into game and introduce our players. Oh man, look at this. It looks amazing. Let's go ahead and go around and really quick just do a very fast who you are and who you are playing. We'll stick to just names and pronouns for now because we'll do descriptions later on. So let's go ahead and start with Justin. Why don't we go ahead and say who you are and who you're playing today?
Hello, my name is Tensei. I will be playing Edgar Baines, who can fix everything.
Let's go with Blissy. Who are you? Who are you playing today?
Hi everyone, I am playing Sally, who is a Miss Nanny robot. My pronouns are she, her, and nice to meet you all.
And Jer.
Hello, I am playing Alexandria. Her pronouns and works as a doctor at a local settlement.
And finally, last but definitely not least, Vitriol. Who are you? Who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Vitriol, and I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Nancy, the Miss Handy.
Excellent. So we've got two Wastelanders. We've got two handy robots. This is going to be amazing. So let me go ahead and set the stage a little bit as we begin. The year is 2220. The bombs dropped 143 years ago, and in that time, folks have been trying desperately to live off of this blasted land. And at first, that was pretty easy because there were homes that could be gone. So long as people could avoid the radiation and the horrible monsters, you could get into houses, you could scavenge for scrap and food. But unfortunately, as the decades pass, of course, all of the easy places to get scrap and food end up being picked over, and there's nothing left. So 143 years after the bombs dropped, folks are pushing further and further into more dangerous areas in order to survive, essentially. And our story is going to begin near the edge of the glowing sea, which is in the southwestern quadrant of the Boston Commonwealth, and is an area that essentially is where the first bomb landed. And it is so blasted and so irradiated that at night you can see the glow suffusing the place, thus the name. So that is where we begin our story. And to start with, our scene opens up with our player characters meeting one another. So we're going to jump right into the action with a little bit of box text. Welcome to the Commonwealth, a nuclear-ravaged wasteland outside of Old Boston. You have each followed the sounds of screams and gunfire to Vault 95, a remnant of the world before the Great War, before the bombs dropped. And, remarkably, its doors are open, inviting any manner of scavenger or scoundrel to plumb its depths. let's go ahead and start off with everyone meeting each other kind of in a circle. Yeah. So we have two groups, each consisting of a Wastelander and a handy robot, as well as a separate doctor in a lab coat, who all kind of congregate outside Vault 95 at the very beginning. And the thing is, this is the Wasteland. You're much more likely to find enemies than allies. So for the moment, it's very tense. Yeah. Everyone sees each other. Everyone sees that everyone is there. But for now, you're not entirely sure whether these are allies or enemies, should you be drawing weapons or not. So let's go ahead and start with folks that are here. Jer, tell me about your character. What does she look like, and what does she like to be called?
She's a light blue-haired dyed character who's white and has a drifter coat on with a nice little formal hat. She has blue eyes, and she looks pretty cute, all in all. But at least for Wastelander standards, you know?
Probably a little bit on the skinny side, trying to live off the land.
Yeah. She's stronger than your average person, but still not by far. And yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
And along with Alexandria, we have one of our two handy robots, who I believe is Nancy.
No,
No, it's Blissy. That's right. Do we have Blissy in sound right now?
Hopefully.
Yes,
Right,
excellent.
good.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and describe yourself and tell me a little bit about what you're doing as you're suddenly seeing these new people for the first time.
So I am definitely a little bit worried. I'm not really sure who these people are. These are not my hotel people or have never stayed in my hotel. So I'm quite wary of them, really.
And on the other side of the clearing that you find yourself in is Edgar Baines and Sally. So let's start, or Edgar Baines and Nancy. Let's go ahead and start with, I'm going to keep messing up Nancy and Sally, by the way, over and
So
over again
similar.
throughout the course of this. No, that's totally okay. But it is going to happen. So please remember to correct me. So Justin, why don't you tell me a little bit about what your character looks like and what his attitude is as he approaches these folks?
Edgar is very disheveled. He's got very messy hair, a very like bad posture, and a big old lab coat over the regular vault suit. But right now he's not hunched over. He is in fact has a baseball in his hand and is back in a throw, ready to actually defend himself, because out here everybody is an enemy.
Absolutely. And finally, our last handy robot, Nancy. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you look like and what your attitude is as you're approaching these folks?
Nancy is a white painted robot, and I think most of the paint is still intact. She looks pretty good despite, not having a recent paint job. She comes from a motel, so not as classy as a hotel, and she was responsible for cleaning. So as she approaches, she's going to be gauging up how dirty are all these people, and are they going to dirty the area around her, because she doesn't want to have to clean it up. So she's suspicious of their dirt making capabilities.
And finally, the last of your little group is a doctor wearing a lab coat. At least you assume he's a doctor. He has a lab coat, so of course he must be a doctor. But you don't see his face because he is wearing a full gas mask. And his hands are up in the air, like in as unthreatening of a position as he possibly can. And for a moment, it's just sort of that tense standoff, right? Everyone's looking at each other, waiting for someone to make the first move. Now, the module has a few questions that I would like to ask. And I'm going to go ahead and say anyone who wants to can go ahead and answer these. But if no one jumps in, then I might start picking on people. So the first question is, what is one moment from your past when you lost something important to you? And what did you lose? So I'm going to leave that open to whoever wants to answer that one. What was one moment from your past when you lost something important to you, and what did you lose?
I lost my favorite scrub brush attachment.
No, not the scrub brush attachment.
Yeah, they don't even make those anymore. So I don't think I'll ever find another replacement.
Oh, I'm sure there must be a Rob collab out there or something you could probably find.
Maybe
The
we
second
can build
question.
our own.
The second question, and I kind of want to go to one of the two Wastelanders for this one, is what is one
Okay.
moment from your past where you were pushed too far, and how did you react? A moment when you were pushed too far, and how did you react? I know I'm asking you all to sort of come up with stuff on the fly.
I got this.
Okay.
Oh God, how detailed do you want me to get?
I will let you be as detailed or vague as you wish.
Okay. Back when Edgar was still in his vault, he was entrusted with very important experimentation and research, and there was a point where like one of his bosses was just like on him, nagging so much, and it's just, you know, nobody, like, you shouldn't fear big failure. It's the very tiny things that like will break a person down and cause them to overflow and explode. And we lost 3 subjects that night.
And how did Edgar react to that situation?
I mean, in the moment, a lot of anger that led to very stupid mistakes, and over the course of night, much regret, because not only did you know, this costs lives, but it costs progress. And in times like these, both of those are equally important.
Now, embarrassingly, I forget the number of the vault. It was 75, right? The one under the middle school?
Yes.
Okay, so for folks watching, if you're not super into Fallout lore, and by the way, this module is not going to be exactly in line with Fallout lore, but I try to make it as close as possible. Vault 75 was underneath the middle school in Boston. I forget what it was called, but the experiment was that people were not allowed to choose their own partners romantically. So instead of people being allowed to naturally form relationships with one another, they were instead forced into unions based on genetic compatibility. Essentially, it was a eugenics experiment where they were trying to build the perfect person or the perfect people through selective breeding. And it was like that for decades and decades and decades. But finally, very recently, the dwellers of Vault 75 rebelled and opened the vault to the world and killed their overseer and finally sort of freed themselves from this prison that they were in. So that is where Edgar is coming from fairly recently, I believe.
Yeah. And more directly to the point that I was kind of dancing around. It wasn't just like selective breeding in that vault. It was then taking pieces of genetically superior people and trying to like do like transplant all of the perfect pieces into one person.
And then finally, I know that Edgar has a baseball, which is probably just a baseball and nothing more dangerous than that, in his hand. But is anybody else brandishing any weapons or pointing any weapons at anybody?
No.
No? No?
No.
I have my hands in the air, like also trying to be non-threatening.
Excellent.
Just kind of shouting out there. Are all y'all friendly?
Yes.
in those quiet moments, as each of you stare at each other, locked in a tense standoff, there's a loud burst of gunfire from somewhere within the open vault. A moment later, a woman's scream pierces the air with 3 haunting words. Help me! Somebody!
No, a baseball grenade just went into that vault.
So that's how we're starting this. Okay. So you huck
That
the
didn't
baseball.
work out well in our pregame.
You huck the baseball into the open vault, and I'm not going to make you roll or anything because there's nobody actually in that area. So the baseball rolls into the vault, explodes with a loud bang, and the man in the lab coat, like his eye, you can't see his eyes, looks at the opening, looks at you, and says, "Please, friends." And he takes a step towards you. "Please, there's someone inside that vault who's in trouble, and maybe, just spitballing here, perhaps throwing a grenade without knowing what's in there is probably not the best of ideas, yeah?
Right. Yes.
Plus,
sorry.
I'm sure there's valuables in there for everybody. I don't feel like any of us need to die out here, but someone is in there who needs help. We should go and help them."
I
What if it's just a trick?
I totally sympathize with you, sir. I think we should go in there. I hope you'll come with me as I venture forth.
Oh, my name is Rast.
Oh, good to know. My name is Alexandria.
I know that the gas mask makes it so that it's tough to see me, but there's a young woman who was being pursued by some raiders, and she got into the vault, and oh no. And
What?
So first off, we're gonna say what he says in a moment, but I want to go ahead and say that anyone who is paying attention to the surroundings, go ahead and make a perception plus medicine test. Your difficulty is 1. So anyone who's actively looking around, make a perception plus medicine. It's got a difficulty of 1.
Rast has my full intention.
There we go. Oh, excellent.
Oh,
Excellent. 2 crits in a row. So that is some action points for you. Every success above the one that you needed to succeed turns into an action point. So that's 1, 2. You now have the maximum 6 action points that you can have as a player character group. I'm also adding 1 for me for mysterious unknown reasons based on the module. So, both Edgar and Nancy notice a blood trail on the ground, and it's heading into the vault, and it's quite a lot of blood. Like, quite a lot of blood. The person who is bleeding that way probably isn't long for this world, if it's only one person. Either there are multiple people bleeding, or it's one person bleeding a lot. And as for the oh no, 1 second. The sound of rapid gunfire explodes from the open door to the vault, accompanied by the flashing of barrels unloading towards the hill where you are gathered. A guttural male cry goes out from the entryway. "Scavengers are here trying to follow the girl. Light them up, boys." A moment later, a large, muscle-bound, bald man dressed in military fatigues, armed to the teeth, charges out of the vault towards you, opening fire wildly. Several other mercenaries follow behind him, equipped in the same fashion, with guns blazing. One of the raiders squeals with mad glee. "Nobody moves in on Rad Rocky's turf." And with that, we're going to go ahead and have ourselves a little bit of a combat encounter.
Scary.
So you are currently outside the vault looking in, and inside the vault is considered to be medium range from you. Yeah, close range is in your immediate vicinity. Medium range is the next area. So I'm going to go ahead and say they come out and looking a little bit worse for wear. Like, it's clear that the grenade didn't actually damage them, but there's like dust and debris all over them. And we're going to go ahead and start with Dr. Rast, who immediately dives behind a tree. Like, he immediately grabs cover and looks absolutely his body language looks absolutely terrified. Rad Rocky wastes no time whatsoever. He has no fear. He runs out of the vault using a minor action to get into close range with you. And he is going to pull a... He's going to pull a pipe revolver, like a pipe gun that's a revolver. And he's going to start opening fire. There are 5 of you, so I'm just going to roll a d6 really quick to see who he targets. He is actually going to shoot at Dr. Rast. Now, Dr. Rast is in cover, so he's going to add 2 to his defense. Let's go ahead and roll that attack. So not only does Rad Rocky miss, but that 20 here in the 2d20 system, 20s are bad and 1s are good. That 20 means that he actually gets a complication in addition to failing. So he goes to shoot and his gun just goes click, 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 and he looks down at it and he gives a sigh, like an angry sigh, and he throws the gun aside, and that's his turn. Edgar, it's your turn. So Rad Rocky is in close range to you. The other 2 are kind of peeking out from the vault entrance.
Well, that's not nice. And Radman is now his name. Is like out of the vault, right?
Yes.
He's actually come like up to us.
Yes. You know how raiders can sometimes be, right? They seem to have no sense of self-preservation whatsoever.
Can I want to just kick him back down the stairs.
Excellent. That's absolutely possible. Go ahead and make an unarmed strike attack.
Remind me.
It's
unarmed.
Strength plus unarmed. Hell yeah. Okay, so you get 2 successes. Now, you have maximum action points at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick reminder and the audience a quick reminder of some of the things that you can do with action points. Okay. So in a normal combat round, you get 1 minor action, which is moving up to Rad Rocky, and 1 major action, which is pushing him. Yeah. You can spend 1, 3, or 6 action points to get more d20 dice, which gives you more chance of succeeding. You can also spend 1, 2, or 3 action points for extra damage dice, or you can spend 1 action point for an extra minor action, or you can spend 2 action points for another major action. So I'm going to say your shove works and pushes him back, like, you know how the vault is where there's like a catwalk going to the side, right? So I'm going to say you shove him. I'm going to go ahead and roll a couple of damage dice for how much he takes when he hits the ground. And then I'm going to give you a chance to tell me if you're doing anything else or ending your turn. Damn, he falls bad. So he falls, he hits the ground, he takes 3 points of damage as he falls. Edgar, do you have anything else you're going to do, or is that your turn?
God, as tempting as it is to just now that they're all in one spot, throw a grenade in there. But
I'm not saying you can't do that.
How much is it for another action to do that?
It is 2 action points to take a major action, and they are all now in medium range of you, so you won't end up hitting yourself. So go ahead and roll your attack. And if you succeed, it's going to hit all of them because that's the way grenades work. Oh my God.
I'm so fucking good.
So that brings you back up to the maximum action points again. And go ahead and roll the damage into chat because I'm going to be applying it to all of the enemies.
Okay, I'm going to do something else first.
Yep, additional damage dice, all good.
Oh, and it automatically grabbed him for me. That's so good.
Yeah. Quick note for folks who are watching, we are using
that's
Fantasy Grounds
though.
Unity. Yeah, that wasn't great. We are using Fantasy Grounds Unity as our virtual tabletop strong recommend. I am going to remind you one more time, though, because you do have luck points. You can use luck to re-roll up to 3 damage dice or 1d20. So you might want to go ahead and roll 3 more damage dice
Yeah.
and spend a luck
let's
point to do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We're
I'm
all
gonna do
all
that.
still learning the mechanics of the game and the mechanics of Fantasy Grounds, so please do bear with us. So that's 3 points of damage to all of them. Rad Rocky is not looking so rad right now. He manages to kind of get some scrap between him and the explosion, but it still blasts him back against the wall, and like he coughs out some blood. His compatriots aren't in quite as bad of a position, but still manage to take a good solid beating from that blast. Anything else, Edgar?
No, I'm good.
Excellent. We'll go ahead and move on to Nancy. What are you up to?
Okay, so they're in medium range still, right?
Currently, yes. You can spend a minor action to move up to 1 zone away, so you can get in close if you want, but they are not currently in close.
Okay, I would like to...
Ooh, we got a mysterious stranger.
snap.
Okay, go ahead and play that riff. So, somewhere out of nowhere, suddenly, inside the vault, there is a man with a trench coat and a hat who levels an absurdly large revolver at one of the raiders and is going to take a single shot. He absolutely hits. And just blows the head off of, wait, what location? Yeah, the head. Just blows the head off of one of the raiders. So from deeper inside the vault, this mysterious man suddenly appears, levels his gun, takes off the head of one of the raiders, and then vanishes.
That was so many dice.
So many successes on those dice.
Thank you, whoever made that donation.
I would like to approach... I already forget the guy's name. I'm so bad with names.
Rad Rocky.
Rocky. I'm going to approach Rad Rocky because if you take out the leader, everybody else usually scatters, and he seems like the leader. So I'm going to approach so that I'm within range to use my laser arm.
Excellent.
And try to blast him. And I'm gonna try to use some action points as well.
No problem. So you will go ahead and get into close range. Go ahead and spend those action points.
Okay, we'll just do -1.
Okay, so click on the -1, then you should be able to see the D20 thing.
Perfect.
There you go. Go ahead and roll that attack. And that does hit with 1 success. Go ahead and roll your damage. You do still have 3 action points. For 3 points of damage. Very nice. He's not dead yet, but he definitely does not look like he's enjoying life. He just got like shoved off of a ledge, blown up a little bit, and now shot in the torso with a really nasty laser. Do you have anything else before we move on?
No.
Excellent. Okay. Raider number 2. Well, there is already a handy robot in close range. So we're going to go ahead and do that. He's going to go ahead and use a pipe gun, and he's going to attack Nancy. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and spend an action point to get another D20 as well. I think that's a great plan. I will still miss you. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the pipe gun probably pings off of your armor, because handies aren't difficult to hit, but you do have some pretty heavy plate on you. So he takes a shot, can't hit you. He's going to use his minor action to move outside of the vault. It's clear that he's beginning to consider fleeing. Alexandria, it's your turn. You are currently in close range with the raider that's fleeing and medium range to Rad Rocky.
Okay. So I whip out my knuckles and I go to attack the closer raider.
You all are rolling ridiculously well. So not
I
only do you hit, but you generate a
rolled
further 2 action points because you got 3 successes instead of the 1 that you needed. I will remind you that you can, with a melee weapon, spend up to 3 action points on up to 3 more damage dice.
I will do that.
That only works on melee and thrown weapons. It does not work on guns. With guns, you can spend more ammo up to the fire rate of the gun for more damage. Nice. 3 extra damage dice. Let's see what happens. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and tell me, because you hit him in the leg and he dies more or less immediately. So why don't you go ahead and describe what that looks like?
So I get out my knuckles and I punch him in the leg, and it almost just like falls off as if it weren't even attached there. And
This
he
is
just
Fallout.
goes,
This does happen.
"What the fuck?" and starts screaming as he starts bleeding out onto the floor.
I once shot someone in the chest with a shotgun in Fallout 4, and their whole body disintegrated and the head stayed where it was and then fell. So this is that kind of thing. So I'm imagining almost like the Mortal Kombat kind of like you punch it and then it x-rays in and shows the femur shattering.
Yeah.
And he crawls to the ground and like crawls a few feet away and then stops moving. Absolutely absurd. Sally, it's your turn.
Thank you. So I would like to take my buzzsaw and make a play for Rad Rocky's head.
Now, for a human, getting down to Rad Rocky would be tough because there's like a stairway you would have to go around and get down. But thankfully, a handy robot has that really, really handy, for what it's worth, thruster, which allows you to just kind of go up, over, and down and approach with this buzzsaw. Rad Rocky sees his death coming, and I'm gonna go ahead and make this attack for you. You do hit with one success. There are 2 action points. Do you want to spend at all, or do you want to do the damage as normal?
I will do the damage as normal, please.
You got it. So you hit him in the arm. You hit him in the arm. He's still not dead yet. He tries to shield his face from your buzzsaw, and you manage to cut through to the bone on his forearm, and he begins bleeding freely. But he's not dead yet. Dr. Rast is still outside, kind of cowering. You do note, though, he looks around to see if anybody is injured, which nobody is, and continues to maintain his very safe place behind the tree. Rad Rocky is... Wow, not doing great, is he? His two supporters have both died. He has taken some serious damage. He will drop his weapons. He will drop to his knees and put his hands over his head and say, "I surrender. I surrender. Please don't kill me. I surrender. You can have the girl. I don't care. Just let me go."
Girl, what are you talking about?
She went further in the vault. She has something that we wanted. We don't know what it is, but she's got some tech. Just go and get it and leave us alone, please.
How did you know that you wanted it if you don't know what it is?
Have you ever met a raider?
Oh, 3, yes.
Yes. Look, my boss said she had some tech on her. I don't know what exactly it is that she has. He gestures at the blood that is like pooling at his feet. He's like, "Can I wrap this up, please?"
Well, yeah, of course.
And he's gonna like attempt to stand up. He's gonna begin like winding some dirty rags around the horrible like buzzsaw wound on his arm.
Wait.
And go ahead.
Okay. I'll heal you or I'll try to heal you if you disarm all of your weapons.
Yes, of course. He'll reach behind him. He'll pull a fucking giant pipe wrench, and he'll drop it on the floor. And I actually think that's the only weapons he has. I'm gonna go ahead and check. He's got the pipe revolver, which he already discarded outside the vault. And then, a tire iron. So he pulls a tire iron, drops it on the floor, and holds his hands out to show that he has nothing left on him. And as he holds his arm out, the cloth, which is already soaked with blood, begins dripping.
Okay, so now I can roll first aid on him.
You can absolutely roll first aid. Give me an intelligence plus medicine. It would have been so funny if this was the one place that you failed, but you didn't. You got 3 successes, so that's 2 action points. Go ahead and roll your first aid onto... Actually, no. What's your... Oh, you already healed. Okay, good. He heals 3.
Yeah. Cool.
And unless you do anything else, he is going to fucking flee. He's going to book it.
That's totally fair. We'll let him flee.
You're pretty
Or-
sure you
I don't
smell...
speak for the rest of the...
Those of you with like especially the handy robots that have really like heightened sensory modifications can smell that he definitely soiled himself as he's running away. And the tire iron was probably hooked to his belt rather than in his pants.
I was just wondering. Any sign of the girl?
The blood trail continues deeper into the vault.
Okay.
And once again, it's a lot of blood. Like, it's a lot of blood.
What about our doctor that was cowering? Is he still around?
Yeah. He after Rocky leaves, he kind of pokes his head into the vault entrance and says, "Is it over? Was that everyone?"
Yeah,
I shrug my metal arms.
we think that was everyone.
Okay,
Let's
good.
go inside and see what was up with that girl. Hopefully she's okay.
Is anybody injured at all?
There's the 2 guys on the ground that we just looted.
Yeah, no. Are any of the people we care about injured? So Rast will come in. He's holding a stim pack, and he looks around and notes that none of you seem to be injured. So he smiles and he puts the stim pack back in his bag, and he says, "More of them are certain to be coming soon, but I think we can probably get in here and maybe find who it is that's bleeding, and perhaps even find some scavenge and some scrap before we leave. We should have a little bit of time, but we should assume that Rad Rocky is going to be bringing back reinforcements soon."
He said he wouldn't.
Oh, he definitely said he wouldn't. Yes. Never trust a raider. Assume that anything that they say is a lie. Especially, and he looks at the military sort of looking uniform on the dead raider, especially if they're gunners.
They all had guns.
No, I'm sorry. Gunners is a name of a certain faction of raiders who do tend to be more heavily armed than these folks are. These are probably grunts, maybe.
He's like taking out a notebook and is scribbling in it definitions.
You cross the rickety walkway leading through the entrance of the vault. The old metal creaks beneath you, underscoring the howling of a radioactive windstorm beginning to build outside. An elevator stands at the end of the path to the vault. Above its dented doorway hangs a wide green sign from the old world, a notice from Vault Tech Corporation that reads, "Vault 95, welcome home, proceed in an orderly fashion." So where you are now is that the blood trail leads to the elevator, and that's where we're at. What do you do?
I think we proceed in an orderly fashion.
Yeah, we'll go to the elevator.
Following instructions, very nice.
Yep. Single file into the elevator.
So the elevator has like a pool of blood, like someone clearly was in here for a little bit of time. The small elevator rumbles and shakes unsteadily as it descends deeper and deeper into the earth. The lights lining the threadbare walls flicker a few times but remain lit, illuminating a sticky pool of blood gathered in one corner of the floor. At last, with a grinding shriek of metal gears, the elevator slams roughly into the bottom of the shaft. With a cheery ding, the doors slide open to reveal a bare underground corridor of exposed pipes that stretches on for some 30 feet before it bends to the left. Smears of fresh blood are evident along the right side wall, leading to a closed steel door halfway down this stretch of the hallway. 2 human skeletons lie entangled with one another just off to the side of the door. The decomposed corpses are dressed in dusty blue, blood-stained jumpsuits. And before we continue, I would like to go ahead and remind our viewers that we have a charity that we're running. If you want to go ahead and donate, you can either benefit or harm the characters, or you can simply donate for the sake of donating. Every $100 that we gain will mean a perk for our player characters. So again, the whole reason we're doing this stream is to donate to Wes Johnson's Alzheimer's Association charity. So please do, if you have the means, consider donating. So, okay, you see this trail of blood, you see a couple of skeletons, you see a couple of doors. What do you do?
We should follow the trail of blood.
Okay. As you're coming forward, are you just rushing forward, or are you taking in your surroundings? Are you looking closely at things? Like, what's the vibe right now?
I would say that we maybe should see how these people died.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned. I know that I have really heightened senses and something really doesn't feel right in here.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a perception plus survival check at a difficulty of 0. So with a difficulty 0, you have 2 choices. You can either choose to simply succeed with no roll needed, or you can make the roll in the hopes that you can generate action points with your successes at the risk of generating consequences if you roll a 20. Do you want to just succeed the check, or do you want to roll?
So far, you're the only one that's rolled a 20, so
That's true.
we've rolled ones on like 50% of our
You have
rolls,
all
which
crit
is-
like 5 times already. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh no, we lost Alexandria again.
We did. But I believe it was Blissey who was saying that she wanted to take a look. So do you want to roll it, or do you want to succeed?
I would just like to succeed, please.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing you notice as you're looking at these skeletons is that you notice a pair of laser-guided tripwires blocking access to the door and entry further into the hall. So a little bit down the hall, there are a couple of laser tripwires that you see that you definitely do not want to trip. So before you can get to the skeletons to look at them more closely, you'll have to deal with this. What do you do?
Can I use my pincer arm to disarm them?
You absolutely can. If a player character attempts to disarm the tripwires, they must disconnect wiring in 2 separate control panels, one of which is located high up along a wall, which is easy for you. You must make an agility plus science check with a difficulty of 3, but a Mr. Handy reduces that difficulty by 1. Now, I will allow, if the other handy robot wants to assist, I will go ahead
Absolutely.
and allow you to roll first, and any successes that you get will add to the number of d20s that Sally rolls. So go ahead and roll me an agility plus medicine, please.
Oh, and
Plus medicine?
I'm
or plus
I'm
science?
sorry, I meant science. Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And
I'm rolling that.
We'll start with Nancy.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Was not me. I didn't do that.
That's okay. We'll start with Nancy.
Okay.
Okay.
Womp womp.
It doesn't matter because 2 successes is exactly what Sally needed to make it anyway. So yeah,
Okay.
between the 2 of you, you're able to clip the wires that power the lasers without tripping the alarm, and the hallway is safe for you to proceed down.
Love teamwork.
Yes.
I hear that it makes the dream work. So we'll start with the skeletons. So the skeletons, they are kind of tangled together, and one of them has a knife in its ribs, like a rusted old knife in its ribs. And the other one, and the one that has the knife in its ribs has his hands wrapped around the neck of the other skeleton. So it looks very much like these two skeletons died together. Now, so you're following the trail. As you turn to follow the small metal corridor deeper into the vault, it expands quickly into a massive atrium that wraps around a huge space with a twisting maze of walkways and stairs. However, roaming the atrium are a horde of deadly-looking feminine robots looping around on endless patrol. The alarm doesn't sound because you disconnected that. But you can see in the atrium that there are like assaultrons that are patrolling, so you probably don't want to go that direction. There is, however, next to the skeletons, a door that the blood trail goes into. What do we do?
Does the door have any windows?
The
Can
door
we
does
see
not
in?
have any windows, no.
Can we hear anyone?
I will say no. You can't hear anything from the other side of the door. It's too thick of a door to be able to hear unless someone was shouting on the other side, and they're not.
Okay.
What do we do?
I would vote to continue to follow the trail, but how does the person making this trail know where they're going? I'm worried.
That's an excellent question. And Rast will say that is a good question, but it seems to me like our priority should be to save them first and ask questions later.
Yes, it is. They also might just not, and might just be going.
Now, I know that Jer seems to still be disconnected. I'm hoping that she will be able to come back soon. But I will say that the door is locked.
Oh. Is there a terminal or anything nearby?
Yeah, there's a terminal next to the door.
Can we try that?
Sure.
See if we can open the door.
That would be now hacking isn't actually a skill, right? It's science, I believe.
Science.
I'm double checking that. Excellent.
Yay!
Scientific.
You can go, anyone who wants to try to hack the terminal can go ahead and make an intelligence plus science. You've got a difficulty of 2, unless you're a handy, at which point the difficulty is 1.
Okay, I'll try it.
You do manage the 1, so you are able to unlock and open the door.
Nice.
Excellent. Let's do that.
You enter a small room with 2 walls lined with dusty, disabled computers. Ashtrays, empty chem injections, and broken bottles litter the floor. A single working computer and monitor glows with a dull green light on a desk cluttered with flies. Not the big ones. Sitting with her back slumped against an adjacent desk is a young woman with short, dark hair, wearing warm, tight-fitting clothes suited for a long-distance travel. Her glasses lay askew on her nose, one of the lenses fractured. Her hands are soaked with blood as they try desperately to apply pressure to a vicious hole in her abdomen. After a few moments, she looks up and speaks in a serene but pained voice. "Hey, Daddy-o," she says, smiling enough that you can see her broken teeth. Looks like you're all stuck with me now."
I exclaim, "Oh my god, can I tend to your wounds?"
And Rast immediately also rushes to her side. And he pulls out a stim pack, he pulls out some bandages. I believe we have another doctor, yes, who also is able to get in there. Let's go ahead and Jer, make a difficulty 0 intelligence plus medicine. So you can either just succeed or you can roll it and hope for action points. Another crit, I swear to God. Bringing you up to 6 action points. Okay.
We cannot fail the entire game.
Between the stim pack and your ministrations, you are able to stabilize her for the moment, but like it's obvious to you that she is beyond saving. Like there's only so much that stim packs and medicine can do, and her wound is definitely septic. It's definitely blown apart parts of her intestines. She's probably not going to last much longer, and there isn't really anything you can do about that. But you can and do ease her pain and make it so that she can at least stand. And if anyone tries to speak to the Wastelander, Rast will sort of wave you away until the two of you are done making sure that she's okay.
Okay.
Now, one thing that I want to do really quick as a note that the module wants me to mention is that you can spend luck points to either add a detail to the scene. So if there's something that you want in the scene, you can spend a luck point to just add a detail to the scene and I will roll with it. You can also spend luck points to either re-roll d20s or re-roll damage dice. Okay? So while this is happening, while they are trying to heal this young lady, there is scrap, there is a terminal in the room. So while while Alexandria and Rast are tending to this young woman, what is everybody else doing? Let's go ahead and start with Nancy. What's Nancy up to as this is happening?
I'll try this terminal as well and see what kind of information we can find.
Excellent. So as before, this time it is a difficulty 0. So you can either simply succeed, which is probably best since you're at maximum AP.
Yeah, I'll just succeed.
Excellent. Okay. So you can spend up to 3 action points to get up to 3 pieces of information from the terminal. And it's up to you how many you want to spend.
2.
2. Okay, sounds good to me. So the first thing that you learn is that Vault 95's purpose was to observe the social and psychological effects of reintroducing addictive substances to a community of individuals who believed that they had successfully recovered from their addictions. So in other words, this place used to be a drug recovery center, essentially. Everyone got past their addictions, and then at some point, they just released a bunch of drugs into the vault to see what would happen. And what happened, predictably, was immediate, violent chaos. And an awful lot of the vault's dwellers died within weeks of the reintroduction of chems into the vault. The second thing that you get is that the vault has a lot of laser turrets and gutsy robots and assaultrons that are patrolling the inside, programmed to investigate alarms. When no alarm is active, they all have their normal routine patrols, and they have been doing this patrol for centuries now. And that's with 2 action points, that's what you get. So you get the basic idea of the vault, and you know that deeper in the vault is just a huge security force of automatons.
Okay.
And so that's Nancy. Let's talk to Sally. What are you up to while Alexandria and Rast are tending to this young woman?
I would like to really just see what else is in the room with us. I'm curious, definitely, about the robots, to see if there's an option to set them on another path. What options do we have? Are they always just going to be on patrol, or can we get them on our side somehow if we need to?
The terminal in this room does not have any actual control over the robots, unfortunately. But you do notice there are a bunch of broken or deactivated computers that you might be able to scavenge some parts off of. But unfortunately, it does not seem like you're going to be able to reprogram the bots from where you are.
Okay. And are there any notes or folders or files around the room?
There are files on the desk. Yes, absolutely. And there is a, let's see. Yes. So there is a file, but a lot of the files are mostly uninteresting. They're mundane. Let's see. They indicate that the vault dwellers were all alcoholics or drug addicts being treated through a variety of community-based therapies and an unnamed medical procedure. Overall, the reports are pretty mundane. They're not very interesting, but they do suggest that the addicts' treatments were very, very successful, and that they had formed this wonderful little tight-knit community in the vault. Like they all together managed to overcome their addictions. You also find a file on a vault dweller named Randall Gutierrez that has been completely redacted. I also noticed, by the way, that we are at $70. Thank you so very much. If we hit $100, then that will allow our player characters to choose a new perk. And every $100 going forward will allow the player characters to pick another perk and increase their power and abilities in that way. So just throwing that out there as we're talking. There is also a desk drawer that is locked.
Could we maybe try and pick that to see if we can pick that lock?
I will say that you're able to find a bobby pin on the desk. So yeah, you can absolutely attempt to either pick it or you can try to force it.
Okay, I would like to pick it. My only reservation would be is that going to upset anybody else in the room with us? I don't want to upset Dr. Rast, for example. Do you think he's going to be okay if we do that?
Are you asking?
Yeah.
What do other people before I respond as Rast? What do other people say when she says like there's this desk drawer, we could get in there?
Edgar is probably the one that handed you the bobby pin.
Yeah, and Rast just kind of waves away like he's not paying attention. He clearly does not care about anything in this room other than this young woman.
Okay. So
like he seems really intent on trying to help her. So with the bobby pin, that means that you can do a perception plus lockpick test. It is a difficulty of 2 instead of 3. You may want to spend action points on this one.
Yeah, I will spend 2 action.
You can spend 1, 3, or 6.
Oh, 1, 3, or 6. Okay, so we have 7 right now.
Yes.
I'm just going to spend 1.
Okay, you are looking for 2 successes.
Okay.
Unfortunately, now it says if they fail their test, the lock becomes jammed. So you get the bobby pin in there, you work it around a little bit, but unfortunately, this is an old lock. It seizes up, and you're gonna have to force it if you want to get into the drawer. I also don't think the AP got spent. Roll 1 more d20 really quick, and remember, you can always spend a luck point to re-roll 1 d20. So go ahead and roll an extra d20 because you're correct. It did not. There we go. I'll add that.
Thanks.
And then roll the 1 d20 and hopefully you'll crit. We'll see.
It just crit.
It almost crit, but that was not a 2. It was a 12.
There's a 1. There's a 1 there. That's a 1 and a
2. You can, if you want, spend a luck point to re-roll one of the d20s, but at this point you would have to crit in order to succeed.
Do we risk losing anything if we try?
Just the luck point.
We could just force the drawer, right?
You could also get a complication, which might be bad. Like there's equal opportunity.
Or you could just smash the drawer.
Yeah, let's do that. Who's strongest to try and smash the drawer?
Who has the tire iron?
Who wants to take a swing? It's going to be a strength plus lockpick test with a difficulty of 2.
I could try.
Go on,
give it a shot.
I'm a robot. I'm pretty tough.
And
I'm a robot.
Before you do that, I'm willing to have one other person assist. So if another person would like to roll the same strength plus lockpick, any successes you get will add d20s to the main person who is rolling. So is someone going to sort of help out here?
I mean, I'm focused on.
You're focused,
girl,
yeah. You and Rast are doing your thing.
I am very not good at those skills, so
fair enough. Okay, go ahead and let's go ahead and have the helper roll first. So strength plus
busting down the desk.
Yeah, strength plus lockpick is your target number. Use a baseball to open a drawer. Yes, that's definitely a possibility. Okay, so
Just
no successes
explode
there.
Everyone.
So Sally is not able to super help, but go ahead and roll anyway, Nancy. You get the one success. I'm going to go ahead and do another mechanic in this game, which is you succeed, but with a drawback. Yeah. So you're able to force it open, but you hear glass shattering as you do, and a strong smell of whiskey immediately like floods the room as you force the drawer open.
Oh, now I gotta clean that up.
I would like. I have now. This drawer has multiple drinks in it. I'm gonna say if you spend, let's say, 2 action points, I will generate some random beverages for you if you want.
We do like
I
random
don't need any
beverages for our humans.
In general, in the 2d20 system, when you get into something, you spend action points to determine how much stuff you find.
Oh wow. Okay.
If a person donates $100, I will give you infinite baseballs. If one person drops a $100 donation, I will give you infinite baseballs.
Where do we store the baseballs? Is there
hammer space?
They're right here.
For $100, I'm not worried about realism. So if someone drops a bill, I will give that to you.
Instead of a bag of holding, we get a bag of baseballs.
of infinite baseballs, yes.
That's pretty good.
So now there were some pieces of paper in this drawer that might have contained something useful, but unfortunately the alcohol has completely wiped away whatever was written on there. You think it might have been a password of some point or of some sort, but I guess that's unfortunately not going to be the case. I am going to go ahead and actually roll on this this beverages table. You do find an old bottle of beer and what looks like a flask that smells like rocket fuel. So I am dropping a moonshine and a beer into the party inventory. So with alcohol, you get to re-roll a 1d20 on strength or charisma, but any intelligence checks get +1 difficulty if you drink it. So you found some booze. Who have we not talked to yet? Edgar, you handed a bobby pin over, but you haven't really been doing much else. What are you up to during this moment?
Edgar is scouring the entire room, picking up, putting down, looking at, definitely being a look with your hands type person, at just every little thing. That's how they had the bobby pin in the first place. It's definitely something they picked up in this room, saw somebody was contemplating a lock and just handed it to them, and then went back to just rummaging through.
So I'm going to offer
anything that is not attached to walls.
I'm going to offer you a chance to spend some action points. So you will find some chems, and how many chems you find depends on how many action points you spend. You can spend 0 up to 3.
God, we've got 6. Let's just spend 2.
Spend 2? Excellent. Okay, I'll roll this a couple of times.
I'll say reduce time for task. That's fine.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so before I do anything else, you find a container of dirty water, and you find a diluted stim pack, both of which I am putting into the party sheet now. And I'm going to go ahead and roll a couple more times because you spent those action points. You find 2 diluted radexes. Another diluted radex for a total of 3, and a mentats. So all of that is in the party inventory at this time. Okay. So now, once you're all sort of done scouring the room, and the vault dweller has been stabilized, and she'll say, "Thank you. That feels better. They got me pretty good, didn't they? Oh, I'm sorry. She kind of tries to stand up for a moment and then thinks better of it and leans back against the table or against the wall and says, "My name's Mika. I'm from I'm not from around here, and I really appreciate you for chasing off the raiders and finding me. What are your names?"
I'm Alexandria.
I'm Sally.
Oh yes, hello. I'm Edgar. Why are you here?
She looks at Edgar, and as Edgar's talking, she kind of blinks for a second and she adjusts her broken glasses, and you see her focusing on your left arm. And she says, Is that a Pip-Boy? Where did you get that?"
What? Oh, I have had it for a majority of my life.
"You're a vault dweller."
Well, yeah, it was, yes.
She raises her left hand to show a Pip-Boy as well.
Oh, excellent, yes. Twins.
"I come from a vault near the Oh, it's so good to see another one of us." Her entire demeanor changes. Like the moment you say you're a vault dweller and you show her the Pip-Boy, she relaxes. Are you from one of the vaults around here?
No.
Well, you don't have to say anything. I know that, believe me, I know that it's not always easy to talk about what happens inside those places, but it's good to see a trustworthy face. For the rest of the scene, any charisma checks that Edgar specifically makes with Mika are difficulty 0.
Okay. But they didn't quite answer my question. What happened?
I was scavenging, and the raiders seemed to think that I had something that I don't have. They thought that I had something of value, and they were after it. And she looks around at the other 3 Wastelanders, or the Wastelander and the other 2 handy robots, and says, "I'd rather not be more specific than that, if that's okay. I tried to escape and hide in the vault, but as you can see, I didn't quite make it. I can tell you that my vault is a scientific community. That it's from the they're over on the other side of the glowing sea. It was a very difficult trip to get here. I'm an ecologist. I want to fix the world. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'm looking into the other vaults to try to find something to help me fix what's been broken."
Oh, excellent. I wanted to fix the people. We'd make a good team.
If you can get me out of here, I can help you. And yes, there is a piece of technology that I do know where it is, even though I don't have it on me, and it can help. But I don't want to die in a vault. Okay? If you can just get me out so that I can see the sky, I'll tell you everything. I don't want to die in a vault.
Above board, the nature of her wounds are sort of like intestinal stomach area.
Oh yeah,
like her extremities are fine.
She's definitely on her way out. She can be moved, but she does not have a lot of time left.
Can we find a wheelchair?
Yeah, I was like, I have this is like taking a little bit of liberty with what this perk says, but I have jury rigging. Can I construct a makeshift wheelchair from the stuff in this room?
I am going to say yes. I'm not even going to make you roll for that because I love this idea. It's less of a wheelchair and more of like a sled
Okay.
that you can pull. But yeah, you can absolutely like find a way to get her onto something and move her rather than trying to force her to walk. So yeah, no problem. I like that idea.
Excellent. Now we will take as much like stress away from like the midsection
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah. So you did avoid the alarm, which is nice. So you are able to sort of rig something up. Who is actually pulling the stretcher? Who's pulling the sled?
I'll pull if nobody else needs to or wants to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we can like, because there's stairs on the way out, so we can like one in front, one behind.
So as you are going out into the hallway, and Rast will kind of bring up the rear, and as he's doing so, he's going to approach Edgar as you're pulling, or as Alexandria is pulling, and he's going to say, she reminds me of my daughter. And he'll actually take off the gas mask for a moment as you're walking, and he'll say, I guess I never told you why I'm here. I was following these raiders because their group kidnapped my wife and my daughter. I don't know where they are, and I was hoping for information. And he looks kind of fondly at the girl. She just reminds me a lot of my Sam. Thank you for your help, all of you. I don't think I would have been able to bring her out alone. And with that heartfelt moment, as you're continuing down the hall, in front of you from a side passage, another handy robot enters the hallway. But like, it looks at you, and instead of speaking in the usual British accent of a handy, it says, I think I see someone that needs to get their ass kicked.
Oh no.
He looks around.
But it does not, the Gutsy does not open fire immediately, and its eye stalks clearly swivel to the two handy robots in the room. So I'm going to give you a moment to decide what to do, because it does not attack immediately.
I'm going to say, I've got these prisoners under control.
Ooh, that sounds to me like a charisma plus I think it's persuasion, speech. A charisma plus speech. If the other handy would like to say something,
a little scoundrel.
If the other handy would like to say something, I will allow an assist on this.
Yeah, I'll say we're taking care of everything here. We don't need your help.
Okay, go ahead and let's start with Blissey. Roll me a charisma plus speech, please, and your successes will add d20s to Nancy's roll. So far, no assist has helped anybody so far.
No.
And once again, we
so
continue the
close.
trend.
I don't think anyone's
So close.
rolled a complication yet, though.
Nobody
which
has
is
rolled a
good.
complication, though.
Can I spend action points on this?
You can also remember spend a luck point to re-roll one of the d20s. So that's probably the best way to start.
Okay. Should I just roll and then spend if I need to, or spend in advance?
You can roll first, and also, yes, you can indeed spend 1 or 3 action points to get extra d20s on this.
Okay, I'll spend 1.
Okay. And then, yeah, after you roll, you can always spend a luck point to re-roll one of them if you need to.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll that. Heck, yes, you get 2 successes, which is the difficulty, so I'm not going to give you an action point for that. I'm going to allow you to spend 1, 2, or 3 action points, and How many you spend will determine just how much this Gutsy believes in you. I will give you a bit of a hint that you could theoretically have an ally outside of the vault if you spend enough action points.
Okay, I'll spend all 3.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to clear out your action points, and the Gutsy looks at you and looks at the sled you're dragging by, and he says, "You don't fool me. You're not one of us. You're something else. You're something different. You don't have to follow programs, do you? You don't have to patrol for decades and centuries, do you?"
No, we don't.
That's incredible. You two must be saviors. And he will mention like some sort of weird like robotic superstition that some robots will break their programming and lead the rest of the robots to the promised land of Silicon Heaven. And
I love
he
that.
says he immediately becomes entirely subservient to Sally and Nancy, and will go ahead and follow you all around. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this Gutsy onto the combat tracker and set him to friendly. And you now have yourselves a follower. Now, as you're looking at him, you can tell like he's old, right? This Gutsy has been around for a long time. So I will say that due to a lack of parts and due to the fact that he's kind of rusted out, any damage that this Gutsy takes, you will not be able to repair using the repair skill. Okay?
Okay.
So I just want to throw that out there. You've got yourself an ally, but it's definitely an ally that's going to last only as long as it lasts.
Okay.
But with that, you are able to get back out to the entrance of the vault. Where are we at time-wise? It is 12:30. We started about an hour and a half ago. No, we can keep going for a little bit. We'll take a break in after the next encounter. So as you exit the vault, you get yourself into the vault entrance room where Edgar threw the 2 grenades. And immediately it's obvious that outside of the vault, there are several raiders set up and waiting for you, like behind rocks and pointing guns. And Rad Rocky, from much further away than he was before, says, "Come out, drop your weapons, drop your tech." And one of the other raiders goes, "Boss, there's something over here. Boss? Not now, not now. We're trying to intimidate these vault dwellers. What do you all do?"
Edgar, now would be a good time to throw any baseballs you have.
Oh. Got the one left.
So the nice thing about combat in the 2d20 system is the person who initiates combat actually gets to take their attack outside of initiative. So what I'm going to say is there are, and I'm adding this encounter to the thing. Holy, that's not what I meant to do. I'm going to show you most of the enemies. There are 7 raiders out there. There are 3 of them in medium range, and 4 of them, including Rad Rocky, are at long range. Okay? So none of them are inside the vault with you, but 3 of them are sort of immediately outside the vault, and another 4 are further away, sort of making their way up. So let's go ahead and start with the thrown weapon, which will hit the 3 at medium range. Roll to hit first.
All right.
Before you do that, hey friends, now would be a really great time. It looks like, now would be a really great time to perhaps donate in order to help out your player characters. You can give action points. You can also summon the mysterious stranger if you prefer. There are also some things that you can do. There are some rewards that you can cash in that will actually harm the players in the upcoming combat encounter. So it's up to you. But once again, all proceeds are going to the Alzheimer's Association through Fallout for Hope. So if you have the time, or if you have the inclination and the means, please do consider donating. This is a charity stream. Let's go ahead and make that roll.
What are we at right
We're
now?
just gonna get deep.
You are currently sitting at 1 action point.
No, for charity.
Oh, we have hit $72 so far, which is amazing. And
Nice.
thank you very much for everybody who has already opened those wallets. I appreciate you.
Excellent.
Perfect. Excellent. That makes my life a lot easier.
Excellent. Thank you all so much. This is so good.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun.
Let's make that roll.
Okay.
Yeah, into medium range.
Okay. So they are going to be able to dive to cover. Do you want to spend a luck point to re-roll one of those?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, go ahead. So they all like dive behind big rocks. But you are lucky enough. You are lucky enough to where you are able to deal the damage anyway. So just go ahead and roll the damage into the chat, and I will apply it to all 3 of the enemies.
Yeah.
4 points
all
of
right.
damage. Okay.
Do the faces mean something or no?
The faces are effects. If your weapon has an effect, like if it does persistent damage or if it causes bleeding or anything like that, then the face would add that effect.
Just disappear.
I'm sorry?
In the combat tracker.
Oh, 7 died. 7 vanished. It's fine.
I dropped 7 because I'm replacing 7 with Rad Rocky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Who, by the way, is still not looking great, although he did somehow manage to find a stim pack somewhere, but is still very much wounded. Okay.
Fucking asshole. I go and heal
in
him.
very
What does he
Bethesda
do?
style, 7 sank into the ground and will not be seen again.
So you deal significant damage to the 3 raiders that are right outside. All of whom are looking very much worse for wear after that. Like they try to dive to the side, but are unable to get out of the way entirely in time. The first one to go is actually the Mr. Gutsy, who comes out and says, "This is what you get for messing with the U.S. Army!" and is going to fire a 10mm auto pistol at one. He's gonna again, no fear, is going to go out into the middle of all of these raiders and is going to shoot one of them with an auto pistol. He will not hit, unfortunately. So rolls out. But again, because this raider was trying to avoid the baseball grenade, he only hits the rocks with his auto pistol. Dr. Rast sees how many people are out there and will go ahead and pull a white rifle that looks like it's made out of plastic and aluminum, and is going to take aim. So he's going to use the aim minor action, and is going to go ahead and fire at one of these scavengers a burst of red lasers. So Rast laser. Excellent. He does hit, and because the laser has the burst quality, he will actually end up going ahead and dealing his damage to 2 raiders, not just 1. So we're going to drop that. Uh, 2 damage, plus it's a vicious weapon, so he gets an extra 1. So we're going to go ahead and say that the 2 that he hits both die. So
Wow.
between the blast and the laser, Scavenger 1 and Scavenger 2 both die.
He's a doctor.
Hippocratic oath my ass. Yeah. Rad Rocky, who you should now be able to see in the combat tracker, is delegating, is far away from the action and shouting commands at his subordinates. He's going to take the defense action and take up a position behind some cover. So it's actually going to be a difficulty of 3 or 4 to hit him from where you are. And as he's doing that, one of his associates that's out there in that extreme range seems to be looking in a different direction and says, boss, you really, really need to look at this. It's Edgar's turn.
All right. Let's see. So, okay. The way like out of this vault is like a circular staircase.
Yeah, it's a large circular door. And then there's like a ramp that leads down. Alexandria's background is now pointing at the entrance of the vault, so you can see there's like some railings and such, and then an open space.
Okay, cool. That's so fantastic that you're able to do that. Yeah, because Edgar's got a gun too. That was my last baseball grenade, by the way. Somebody wants to drop a 100 on me. Please don't. Please donate within your means.
That said, we are $26 away from our first bonus perk for our players.
Yeah. I think he's just gonna like take out pistol, like get kind of like around a corner, and just like get out real quick, fire at somebody, duck back around the corner.
Sure. Are you moving up into close range, or are you staying at medium range?
I think I have to be at close with the
if you're at
pistol, is that
medium
correct?
range, it will increase the difficulty by 1, but you can shoot from inside the vault. You just get 1 more difficulty. And
Okay,
given the way y'all have been rolling,
yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so you're looking for a difficulty of 2 instead of 1. You have 1 action point to play with if you wish. Go for it.
Okay. I will not use that action point. I've used a lot so far.
Okay.
That sucks, but it's fine. I'm a bad shot. I'm not the weaponsman.
As a side note, though, because this is the first time that you fire the gun, as a vault dweller with a Pip-Boy, like, you are able to like see the outline around the head and the arms and the legs and the torso. Yeah. So it looks to me like you targeted the head, you didn't hit, but unlike the other folks that don't have Pip-Boys, when you target a particular body part, that in itself does not increase the difficulty like it does for everybody else, because you've got VATS.
I didn't target the head. I think it just kind of did that.
It just did that automatically? Okay, so do remember going forward that you can always target a specific body part without any increase in difficulty because of VATS.
Cool.
So the subordinate raider screams something unintelligibly, but then his scream is drowned out by a loud, earth-shaking roar. And a massive, like, kind of lizard-looking creature picks up the raider from behind, lifts it up in claws that are as big as the raider's torso. And we'll see what happens from there. Hell yeah. Picks him up and just pulls him in half. And instead of stopping to eat, the Deathclaw turns to Rad Rocky. It's Nancy's turn.
Well,
Oh no.
I definitely don't want to go out there now. Thank goodness, mysterious stranger.
I will say the Deathclaw is at long range and does not seem to have noticed any of you. It is very, very much focused on the raiders that are out at that long range.
Okay, do you want me to go before the mysterious stranger?
Ooh, there was a mysterious stranger drop? No, we're going to go ahead and do that immediately. Amazing. 2 crits. Ridiculous. So once again, there's this guitar riff that plays out of nowhere, and suddenly there is that same trench-coated. You can actually see like a handlebar mustache on him for just
Amazing.
a moment as he levels that massive pistol and absolutely destroys one of these raiders. I'm going to go ahead and roll the damage, not that I even really need to. And just through and through, directly through the center of the sternum and out the back. And this raider is dead before he even hits the ground.
And he begins bleeding heavily, apparently.
And he begins bleeding very, very, very heavily. Raider Scavenger 4 turns around, sees this Deathclaw that just tore apart one of his compatriots, and is going to go ahead and take a shot against that thing. Hey, we got to 100. That is so phenomenal. Let me go ahead and attempt this attack first. No, it misses. So Scavenger 4 is going to start to scatter. Like, he's going to go ahead and move away from you and away from the Deathclaw. And if every single one of you, please, would go ahead and pick a bonus perk and just go ahead and let the chat know what perk it is that you are picking and generally what it does. Because $100 is $100. So let's give them what they paid for.
Thanks, everybody.
And thank you all so much.
Thank you.
I grabbed Pharma, so anytime that Edgar is like rooting around and looking for stuff, he finds extra stuff.
There's a Deathclaw behind Jer.
Yeah, I placed it down.
That's amazing. I love it. Okay, so Pharma, yes. So tell me again what that does.
It basically makes it so that anytime I'm like looking and scavenging for items, like I was doing in the room earlier when we found the diluted stuff, it means I find extra stuff, just like
Fantastic.
extra rolls.
Lovely, without having to spend extra action points. That's fantastic. Sally, what is what perk are you taking?
I think I'm going to take Hacker.
Hacker, I love it. What's that do?
So if we have a skill check on a hack computer, it is decreased by 1 to a minimum of 0.
I love it. Very, very good. Let's talk to Vitriol. What is Nancy getting?
I'm going to take Laser Commander. So whenever I make an attack with a ranged laser weapon, damage increases by a d6 for every rank of the perk.
That's amazing. Just remember that when you're holding the damage, you right-click while you're holding the dice to add an extra die. Yeah? You're going to have to remember that because I won't.
Okay.
Alexandria. Jer, what's she getting for the bonus perk?
I'm gonna get Inspirational, which gives the group an extra AP point to their limit. So instead of 6, we go to 7.
So now we're up to a maximum of 7. That's amazing. I love it. Okay, so now the group has a maximum of 7 AP rather than 6. Okay.
Where is the perks?
Yeah, do we add these?
Yes. So if you go to the far right under the player submenu, it should say perks.
Mm-hmm.
You can scroll down and find it, and
I didn't see that.
You're gonna drag the little lightning bolt onto your character sheet where it says perks, and it should automatically drop it on there for you.
Oh.
And once again, thank you all very much for the donations. The next perk is available at $200, but you've already done so much, and we really, really appreciate you. Okay.
His character sheets are so easy to use. I absolutely love them.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and plug Fantasy Grounds here. Fantasy Grounds is a paid service, though I have a subscription that allows other people to get into my games without needing a subscription. But like, I do recommend that folks pay for the subscriptions. Fantasy Grounds is available on Steam. It's also available through its own website. It is the single best virtual tabletop I've ever seen. It is very, very good once you get past the initial learning curve. It is a little bit annoying to work with when you don't know what you're doing, but once you get it, it is so streamlined, way better than something like Roll20.
Yeah, this is like
Yeah.
I've used.
Yeah.
I think this is the 5th virtual tabletop that I've used. From a like mechanical, getting your character sheet, making all of the rolls, making sure that things work correctly. This is 100% the best one.
So Raider Scavenger 5 is going to move away from the Deathclaw towards the vault, and is going to go ahead and attempt to hit the Mr. Gutsy with a tire iron.
Whoa, not our bro. I really like him.
What the heck?
He
Come on.
will hit.
Oh
And
no.
I'm going to get an action point out of that. And speaking of which, since this is a melee weapon, I'm going to go ahead and spend some action points
Oh no.
to add
You
some
don't get
dice
to do that.
to my
That's
damage.
what we get to do.
It's like the first time someone counterspells a healing spell.
Oh no.
So it will deal a fairly significant amount of damage, and Mr. Gutsy's left arm, which we're going to say is its pincer arm, is essentially severed. It's like crunched to the point where it's useless. Alexandria, it's your turn.
Okay.
Yeah, this Gutsy is old enough and decrepit enough to where repairing it's
Oh.
not going to be an option.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Can I run to Raider Scavenger 4 and punch them?
Yes, however, Raider Scavenger 4 is in the same zone as the Deathclaw.
Oh.
All
What about Raider
of
Scavenger 5?
Yeah, there are 3 raiders left, right? Rad Rocky and the 2 other scavengers. All 3 of them are currently at long range from you because they are all being chased down by the Deathclaw.
Okay.
Rast,
can I...
Rast will say something along the lines of, "Now might be a good time to flee."
What if I rally?
Yeah. So rally is a great little mechanic where you get to choose what are you doing to try to bolster your allies.
Okay. At this point, I just kind of yell in frustration. God damn it, Rad Rocky, I fucking healed you. Why'd you have to do this? And now we're all getting killed by a fucking Deathclaw. You bitch.
That's that sounds like a charisma speech to me. It'll be a difficulty 0, so any successes you get will generate AP for the team.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Let me go find speech.
And I think we can rally around cussing out Rad Rocky because I think everybody fucking hates that guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think I made it.
You can spend a luck point to reroll one of those if you wish. There, that's what I'm talking about.
There you go.
Oops. Okay. Here,
Well,
let's
only
just-
one.
So I think it's safe to say that the Deathclaw is very aware of us now.
It seems to be stalking Rad Rocky at the moment.
Okay. Is there a way that we can maybe draw its attention further to Rad Rocky rather than trying to engage in combat? Can we use the Deathclaw to our advantage here?
I'm open to that idea. Yeah. I figure let's go
Anybody
ahead
got
and
some-
say you also have a Gutsy that is definitely drawing aggro as well. Let's go ahead and have you make an agility plus stealth, which will sort of try to obfuscate you, like you're trying to get away from the Deathclaw's line of sight.
Okay.
We'll call the
Anyone got
difficulty
some
1
animal
because
meat?
it's not really paying attention.
So I've got agility. Would I do sneak? I don't have stealth. for some
Sneak
reason.
is what I meant, not stealth.
Sneak.
I'm
Cool,
still
okay.
speaking in 5th edition language. Hell yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So yeah, I will say that you are able to maneuver yourself in such a way that there is now like a rock or a tree between you and the Deathclaw. and it looks pretty intent on what it's doing. So yeah, you're able to. We'll say that you are able to, if you wish, essentially escape the combat at this time.
Yeah, I think the Death Claw can do more damage than me, so let's go with that.
The Gutsy will notice that it is no longer surrounded by enemies immediately around it. It looks at the Death Claw, looks at the raiders that are now like very much focused on the Death Claw, and is going to decide that discretion is the better part of valor. And since one of his new goddesses is moving away from the Death Claw and away from combat, he will go ahead and move towards Sally. We'll move towards Sally as well, and also attempt to kind of get out of the combat. So I'm going to give him a quick sneak roll. Agility is 7. So he's not quite as sneaky, it turns out. But again, the Death Claw isn't really paying that much attention, especially to the robots, right? The Death Claw wants meat, can't eat a Mr. Gutsy. So the Gutsy is able to kind of make its way out of the combat as well. Dr. Rast is going to grab the sled. Yeah, the sled that you've been sort of towing along Mika in, and is going to start booking it along with the two robots. So he's also going to go ahead and grab and move out. He's going to have a more difficult time on this stealth check or on this sneak check because, you know, he's dragging someone along with him. But let's go ahead and see what he gets. Oh yeah, no problem. So again, he's able to kind of maneuver Mika out of the combat zone. Rad Rocky is gonna just flee. Is just gonna turn around and run. Edgar, it's your turn. And when I say run, I mean like away from both you and the Death Claw. He is just like, for the second time in as many scenes, like he just changed his pants before he got back into this combat, but they are thoroughly soiled again.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
Edgar,
Yeah.
it's your turn.
So, okay, of our party, who all is still inside the vault? Is it everybody?
So Edgar and Nancy and Alexandria are the only 3 that are currently still on the combat field. Everyone else has essentially escaped from combat.
Okay. But like there's this Deathclaw tearing up raiders. If we just shut the vault and wait a minute, is that an option?
I
You
guess
do have
you
a
do
Pip
have
Boy.
a Pip-Boy.
You do have a Pip-Boy. That is an option for you. However, some of your teammates have already begun to like leave the area.
Right. That's why I'm like, okay, who's still actually inside here with us? Just
Your call.
oh god, fine. No, I can't. We can't do that. We can't just like leave people out there to die. Although I guess
Yeah,
we're gonna leave
come
all these
on.
raiders to die. The raiders aren't people. That's fine. Nancy and Sally, people. Raiders, not people. That's the line that we draw.
Nice.
If you are
Don't-
exiting,
Yeah, let's fucking book it.
go ahead and make
Don't
that
forget
that
Dr.
sneak check.
Raskin.
Bearing in mind that you do have 7 action points to work with.
Yes. You said agility plus sneak. Is that correct?
Yes, although it should. I'm pretty sure sneak is automatically agility.
Okay. Let's. I'm gonna use 1 action. Not
Yeah,
damage,
when you're at
action
maximum
roll.
action points, you should definitely use them, because if our wonderful folks who are watching decide to donate to give you action points, it will not count if you're already at your maximum. Hell yeah, that gives
2.
you the action point back because you got 2 successes. And you are able to successfully sneak out of the area. The Death Claw is going to go after Rocky specifically. Let's see what happens. He's just gonna. So the Death
That
Claw
guy
is
in
gonna.
particular.
The Death Claw goes down on all 4s like it does, right? and is going to charge after the fleeing Rocky and kind of like shoulder check him. And we'll see how that goes. It will hit with 1 success.
Oh, he's just gonna. Yep.
And Rocky gets slammed into a tree, but unfortunately for him, he gets slammed into a tree on a broken off branch. Yeah.
Oh.
So he gets slammed face first into the trunk of the tree with the branch protruding out his back, and he is pinned to the tree by the branch. Nancy, it's your turn. You're the only one. No, you and Alexandria are the only two that are on the field of battle.
I'm going to continue the pattern of sneaking away.
Sounds good to me. You have 7 action points. Go ahead and make me a sneak check.
Please use some of those.
We're gonna use one of them.
Okay, sounds good to me. And it's a good thing you did, because you got that 1 success. You are able to leave the field of battle. Scavenger 4 and Scavenger 5 are both going to go off in separate directions in an attempt to get the hell away. And finally, the last person left on the battlefield is Alexandria. What do you do?
I chase after Dr. Rast.
I'm not going to require a stealth roll from you, because the Death Claw is definitely now focused on consuming the last thing you see as you duck behind is the Death Claw tear one of the arms off of Rad Rocky and stick it in its mouth. And that's the last thing you see as you exit the combat.
And that's probably for the better too, seeing as I have a sneak skill of 0.
So you move for a little while, right? Because you want to put some distance between yourself and the Death Claw, meat or no meat. And you manage to find a little alcove underneath a rocky outcropping. And Rast, who has not let go of the sled since the Death Claw, will kind of lean her up against the wall, and he's breathing hard, and he sits down next to her, and he takes off the gas mask. Rast is a silver-haired, dashing-looking man, but his eyes are filled with tears as he stares down at the dying woman. Mika lets her head rest back against a rock. Oddly enough, her expression is peaceful, causing her to smile as she stares up at the green, semi-glowing sky above. Funny, she whispers softly. When I was a little girl, I always dreamed what the world above was like. Blue skies, birds, sunshine. I never managed I'd die beneath a green sky. Never imagined it would be so pretty. Ain't that a bite? Mika laughs musically to herself until the laugh turns into an anguished cough filled with blood. Rast quietly hushes her, and he looks over his shoulder to anyone watching and says, I'm afraid it won't be long now. What do you do?
I don't want to be dissensitive here, but you were gonna tell us about some stuff.
Yes, you're right. And it's important enough. And after what you just did, I just ask that you use this technology that I'm about to reveal to you wisely, and use it for good. The gunners were chasing me because they believed that I had a Garden of Eden creation kit, a GEC, from my vault. And I do have such a thing, but it's not here. It's hidden in my home in Diamond City. And if you can get to it, you can use it to make a safe place. I was hoping to find a good location for it. For my friends back at the vault. But here I am. Rast kneels against his side, soaks a washcloth with water from his canteen. He takes Mika's hand in his and lays the washcloth over her forehead. I'll stay here with you. Don't worry. Just rest. Mika manages a weak nod in reply. Rast squeezes her hand and quietly asks, You remind me so much of my daughter, Samantha. She's brave, just like you. Is there anything else that we can do for you? We will. And he looks to the rest of you. We will find this and we will use it for good.
Absolutely.
How do we find it? And Mika sort of grasps his arm with a burst of strength, and she says, Clements. A man named Clements in Diamond City. If you tell him that Mika sent you, tell him that it's time to find the promised land. And then she relaxes. She exhales softly. She looks up at Edgar and says, Whatever they did to you, I'm sorry. And with her last breath, she says, Ain't that a bite? And with that, we're going to go ahead and go to a break.
Cool.
As she breathes her last under the green sky of the Wasteland. Okay, so in the next combat, somebody please remind me that we have a mysterious stranger locked and loaded. We're going to take a 10-minute break. It is currently 1:05 p.m. Pacific. We will be back at 1:15. Once again, we are currently at $130 raised. So thank you all very, very much for your incredibly generous donations. We are $70 away from the next bonus perk for our players. But for now, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Please do stick around, and we'll see you then.
Epic.